And actually, let me make sure that I'm in focus because I have a nice fancy setup. I can be out of focus. Okay. Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas. And today I have with me Amit, Kalra, and hopefully my Spanish-speaking background helped me say that halfway correct, even though it's not at all Spanish last name. Did I get anywhere close?
Yeah, Tony, it's great. Amit, last name was
Amit.
correct though.
And you know, and the funny thing is I always worry about the last name, never about the first name. And you're maybe the third or fourth Amit that I've had on the podcast, and I still get it wrong. I have a friend from Nationwide too, named Amit, and I still get it wrong. So yeah, sorry about that. So Amit is Vice President of Insurance at Billy. That's Billy. So we always give so first of all, thank you for joining me today. But we always give the guests kind of the chance to give the elevator pitch. So what is Amit? That I'll probably cut myself off saying that. What is Billy? They're both first names, so it's confusing.
I know.
What is Billy?
Yeah. It's funny that you say that. We have these Billy jackets, and I'm walking around downtown, and everyone thinks, "Oh, you're wearing a jacket with your name on it." So not the first person to think my name was Billy. But basically, Billy, we're a risk management solution for your large contractors, your home builders, and really we allow them to manage their projects in a seamless process where they can really make sure all of their subcontractors have the proper insurance. They can request all the certificates and verify and make sure everybody on their job site has proper insurance. That's kind of how it started, and how we're kind of leveraging into, or kind of wedging into the insurance space, is we're leveraging a lot of the data that we're collecting through this COI collection, and really trying to find a way where we can offer some better solutions to these subcontractors if they don't have insurance or they're underinsured, or as the renewals are coming around, we can kind of market them some better options where we can find some gaps and coverages that they may not already have. And we're also looking to, as we develop our technology, hope to also find a way where we can help not only these larger contractors manage their projects, but we also give them a way to manage their own insurance. So rather than having to go into different portals to manage their project, manage their insurance, they can kind of manage everything and has a one-stop shop, and we can kind of proactively shop their own insurance for them as their renewals are approaching as well.
Okay. So as we were chatting before we started recording, I come from claims and underwriting, but I never did construction, and I've never worked at a broker. So it is definitely out of my usual area of expertise. But let me see if I understood correctly. So basically, large contractors, right? Everything they do is a project, right? And so those projects have to be managed through some sort of project management platform. I'm guessing generally they have construction specific ones, if such a thing exists, or whatever. So anyway, what you guys built is a project management software, or project management system specifically designed for construction, that is specifically designed to not only manage the project, but also keep track of the insurance for everybody involved, because I do know that's a mess, right? All your subcontractors need to have insurance. You need to make sure they have it. You need to collect those COIs. Small subs might not have insurance, and it's a pain to keep track of, right? So basically the system makes it more seamless for them to be able to keep track of all of that, and can sell them insurance for any subs that don't currently have it.
Correct. That's exactly correct. And
okay.
I think what a lot of these larger contractors don't realize, the risk that they're putting themselves at by not making sure their subcontractors are properly insured. And we really want to not let them have to worry about all of that, so they can focus on the project and not worry about if John Smith Plumbing causes damage and doesn't have insurance, and then the general contractor themselves is being sued for not properly understanding. And what we're finding now is that a lot of them are managing in Excel. They've got filing cabinets just full of
That's exactly
COIs.
what I was curious about.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, and there are some solutions out there that are providing a certificate manager, but really where we're differentiating is, again, being able to also provide some insurance distribution, and at the same time, again, make a single one-stop kind of platform for managing projects and managing insurance all in one place.
Okay. So even kind of larger contractors tend so what I'm understanding is even if they have a project management system for the projects, the insurance piece, which is a big deal, is historically not part of those systems. Okay, gotcha. And I would hope that they know how important it is, that they just didn't have a solution to handle it.
Yeah, I think they know how important it is. I think it's really just like, how do I dedicate enough time to handle the project? But then also, if it's in Excel, I'm going into Excel every day. Here are the people that are coming on the site. Here's their insurance. Here's when it says it expires. Let me call and make sure it's actually active. And to your point, it's a big mess. And especially if you have some of these large builders we work with, they might have over 1,000 vendors. So having them to have to do that on maybe a daily or monthly basis, it's just not the best use of their time if they're out there trying to do projects. And that's really how we're trying to give them more time to focus on what they do best, which is their construction trade.
Okay. And certificates are a mess to begin with, right? They're the certificate doesn't guarantee that the coverage actually exists. It just kind of certifies that it existed at some point.
Yeah, and I think we're all familiar that a lot of smaller contractors do this thing called search shopping, where they're purchasing a policy just to get on a site, and then maybe 2-3 days later the policy is canceling, and this GC or home builder, they don't know that that's happened. So it really is hard for you to be able to kind of real time or on an ongoing basis actually verify to make sure that coverage is still in force.
Okay, so does the system handle any of the verification? I'm
Yeah, yeah. So we're
guessing
we're
that.
working. Yeah, we're working towards having a more real time solution. I mean, we're
Mhm.
doing a kind of piecemeal way right now of verifying the policies are actually active. But we're working towards a more longer term solution to be able to provide a more real time update. So they know we already do some proactive things right now where we are sending emails to these project managers on a weekly basis, like a update saying, all right, here's all of your vendors that have policies expiring this week. Here are ones that have expired over the past week. And we do proactively reach out to these vendors also and say, hey, your policy is expiring in 30 days, send us a new COI. So we're doing what we can with the data we have available. Obviously, we can do a better job in a more real-time fashion. But it's still, what we're doing now is still helping save a lot of time and lessen the worry that a lot of these larger construction companies have.
So in a perfect world, you'd have an API connection to every carrier, and you'd be able to kind of daily or whatever, ping that policy. It's just in the reality of insurance today that's not doable yet.
Yeah, a lot of the carriers don't have that like API solution. I mean, it's more available on the personal line side from what I
Hmm.
understand, but from a
Absolutely.
commercial line perspective, there's not really that same technologies because the focus has always generally been on personal lines. I think if the best way to probably do this, a lot of these agency management systems have these direct carrier pings to a lot of carriers, but it's not all of them. But there's not really any solution where there's an infinite list of all the carriers where I can just sign up and say, let me search through all of them and send me back a real-time update of what's active and what's canceled.
Yeah, even when we started recording the podcast, I don't know, five years ago, maybe a little more than that. It even the personal lines carriers didn't really have APIs. Like it was a couple of carriers that had APIs, literally a couple out of like 1,500. Lately, it's gotten a lot better based on what I'm hearing from the people that I'm chatting with. But yeah, mostly in personal lines, it's getting a lot better. Commercial lines is still a ways behind. So how? Okay, so who is the client? for you guys, the client is the contractor, right? If I am understanding correctly.
Yeah, so I mean, we have two parts of our business. There's the software that is really geared towards the larger construction companies to manage their projects. But then if you think about our insurance agency, which we recently formed throughout the US, that customer is really the subcontractor, the vendor that's being asked to provide their insurance. And we're starting in construction. That's really where we're finding that niche. But we're also open to writing other types, the lines of business, as kind of we have the ability to do so. But our real users on the insurance end are really just going to be direct to end users, small businesses, whether it's construction or any type of other small business that's looking for an insurance solution.
Okay, so at this point, not distributed through other brokers. Uh, and, uh, okay, and how many carriers are online when it comes to so if my subs need insurance, right? If they don't currently have it, how many carriers can you shop for me from the system?
Yeah, so where I kind of have a school of thought, and basically what I set out to do was find a carrier across all 50 states for all the different commercial lines that a small business would need. I think it gets, in my opinion, it gets a lot, really complicated if you have too many mouths to feed. So if you have like 5 or 6 BOP
That is
carriers, 2 or 3
very
workers' comp
true.
carriers, and
Hmm.
I really want to find some relationships that I can build out with one carrier, 2 carrier that really have all those solutions, that have those tech-enabled API solutions as well. I think that's really where we can provide a benefit add to a lot of these small businesses, is making it more seamless for them to get insurance and shop around for insurance. The process right now is still very tedious, in my opinion. When you work with larger brokers, they have to shop you around to larger carriers, and it's not really a quick process. And then, not to mention in construction, when a policy renews and you're working on 7 or 10 projects, having to send an updated COI to all those different projects you're working on. So we're hoping to also find a solution where every time your policy renews, hopefully we know all the projects and we can just blanket email out your new certificate for all your projects. So you, the small business, don't really have to worry about that either.
Okay, so really, um, who I would love to get you in front of by being on this podcast, it is the leaders of a couple of the construction carriers that right. The one that comes to mind to me is AXA XL, just because I've had the AXA XL construction leader on the podcast a few years ago. But yeah, so having a couple of those partners that can that can partner across all 50 states would be kind of the perfect solution. Okay, awesome. So how did this come to be? Like how did you guys realize that this was that this was a need, and you yourself come from the insurance industry, so
Right.
I'm sure it wasn't you that thought, right? You're leading the insurance piece of this, but you're not the one that so what's the founder, I'm guessing, comes from construction, or so what's the
Yeah.
creation story?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 2 co-founders. So there's Nyasha and Grant. And Nyasha was one of the first 15 employees at Procore Technologies. And Grant used to be part of a general construction that was one of the first few users at Procore. So I think they've both had a lot of experience where they saw a lot of this heartache that was happening in the construction industry. And even our CTO comes from the construction tech background also. So they all kind of got together and said, like, hey, there has to be a way that we can not only help them manage their risk, but also there's so much data around that where we should be able to wedge into distributing insurance a smarter way that doesn't really involve having to collect all these accord forms and asking so many questions, and actually enriching and actually utilizing the data in a positive direction. So it's not really just collecting data for the sake of collecting data. And I think we've really done a really great job about knowing what data we have and how we can best utilize that to provide insurance solutions.
Okay. Um, I'm looking at the website, seeing if there's anything else specific that I need to ask you about. Ken, and how long has the company been around?
Yeah, so the company started back about April of 2021. In the end of September, early October, we closed a seed round of $3.5 million, led by Metaprop and Coleus Capital, as well as Shadow Ventures. And we really also have raised to date about $4.5 million. And we are really excited as we start to grow, interested to talk to different people in the insurance space to see how we can not only grow our relationships in the prospects of maybe becoming an MGA one day, where we need to kind of work with some sort of reinsurance for backing or capacity, or working with a carrier to provide the paper, but also wanting to get some insurance minded folks on our investment side, just because they'll be able to also help us go forward as we progress as an insurtech.
Perfect. Okay, so for the listeners, um, if you're one of the investors and you're looking at an investor playing in an investment playing in this space, and I would think if you come from the construction underwriting side, from the construction insurance side, those are the kind of people that I think would make interesting connections to you as you guys find advisors and that kind of thing within the insurance space. The construction insurance space is a dynamic side of the industry. I mean, so much so that it has its own conference and its own designation through IRMI and all that kind of stuff. Very cool, very cool. It's a very new effort. And the software itself is at the MVP level, or it's actually functional for the client today.
Yeah,
The project management software.
Yeah, the project management software is already live. We haven't expanded our user base just because we're piloting with some users and wanting to kind of work out all the bugs and the pain points. We have a pretty large backlog of people that want to get set up, but we have to have certain technologies built before they're ready to use it. So rather than give it to them when it's not usable for them, we want to get it in a position where they can actually utilize all of the capacity or utilize all of the benefits. I will say, just as a plug, because everybody's kind of looking to grow talent right now, we are also in a good spot of being able to hire. We're looking for some commercial insurance producers. We're looking for some engineers, software engineers. We're looking for a head of sales. So we're looking for a lot of roles to help expand out this effort as well. And we've already assembled, I would say, from a leadership team, the background that Nyasha, Grant, and Jeff have. We really have a dynamic combination that have both the knowledge from all the different aspects of the construction technology world, and really just I'm helping them bridge into the insurance world, given some of the experience I have from Attune and even from Carrier Life back at State Farm. So really excited to really try to help these contractors or construction laborers really have a better tech-enabled solution that they haven't really been accustomed to in the past.
Fantastic. And when it comes to the employees, are you fully remote, or do they have to be in New York, or be willing to relocate to New York, or
Yeah, so we're fully remote.
awesome.
Myself and Nyasha are here in the New York area. Our CTO is down in Nashville, and our other co-founder is out in California. So we're spread out pretty broadly across the US. I think as we think about, and I don't think anyone has an idea of when we might be passing by COVID, but I think everybody can attest to the fact that kind of when you're working at a startup, there is something to be said about working in person, having that in-person synergy to really collaborate. So I think we'd like to have that at some point, but we are going to try our best quarterly to kind of do in-person get-togethers, just because there's so much value in actually meeting face to face and kind of whiteboarding ideas.
I agree with that 100%. There is. I'm a gigantic proponent of remote, even before COVID, especially for insurance. But there are things that definitely benefit from being in person. Things like training, things like strategic work for sure, and right? If you want to sit down for 8 hours to like brainstorm or like really problem solve or whatever as a team, it's exhausting to try to do over
Yeah,
Zoom, right?
absolutely.
Absolutely. So I think that I think that the future is exactly that kind of thing, is live wherever you want. And then like once a quarter, we get together for concentrated work of the type that really benefits from being in person. Not let's bring you into the office 2 or 3 days a week to do the exact same thing you do from home.
Exactly.
um, which a lot of carriers are attempting, but no, so I agree completely. uh, it does not appear that the site, as of today when we're recording on January 20th, it doesn't appear that the site has a career section. So what's the best way to find about openings for
Yeah,
people who
I
are
would.
interested?
Yeah, so our LinkedIn page has our job postings. I would
LinkedIn,
say
perfect.
yeah, LinkedIn, but our website has, if you scroll down, I think it says we're hiring. I know we're kind of trying to redo our website as we're just kind of slowly enabling new things, but I think there's a link on there to our Angel site that has all the postings as well.
Okay.
But LinkedIn's a good way. Reaching out to me is a good
Mhm.
way. I think if you think of a lot of startups, I think we're not just limited to what's posted. If you have that opportunity, if you find somebody that can really help move the needle, you can kind of create roles. So if you feel like you can come help Billy along this journey and there's not a role specifically posted, still reach out. And
That
again, I don't think anybody's going to turn away good talent
th-
because
that is a wonderful comment, because I tell that to people when they call in for career advice on Chat with Tony, uh, and they're talking about wanting to go insurtech. The top two things I tell them is subscribe to Coverager to get the daily pulse of the insurtech industry, and number two, when you find an insurtech that looks interesting, that looks like a good match to you, right? If you're, in this case, if you come from the construction insurance side, and what you guys are doing is super interesting, even if they don't have an opening, absolutely reach out, because that's the beauty of a startup. You guys are able to be much more flexible for the right talent. So thank you for saying it. I don't think I've ever said it on the podcast, since on the podcast I'm not talking careers usually. Uh, so awesome. Thanks so much for your time. It's been interesting. Look forward to have you guys back as you grow in our industry. And so yeah, thank you for coming today. When it goes live, I will tag both you on LinkedIn and billyforinsurance.com, the website. And actually, I'll try to remember to also tag the LinkedIn page, so that they can easily see the jobs.
thank you so much, Tony.
Anytime. Thank you.